Eric Edholm does a great job covering the NFL as well. He's all over the place. He's breaking down the draft. He's showing a little character and a little charisma on Twitter, and he's kind enough to join me on a Monday on the Map Like Kia, or on the Boardwalk Honda hotline, I should say. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, that's not charisma. That's slap happy fatigue right there, man. I tell you,
how was it? I mean, was it did it tired you out or what?
Oh man, it'll get you loopy. It's like when my daughter stays up too late. She gets in that kind of crazy mode. I think that was me about mid-round 6. I started kind of losing my mind a little bit.
All right, listen. It would be easy to ask the biggest surprise, but were you that surprised that the Browns go with Mayfield over Darnold? Because it seemed as though they were in love with Mayfield. That's where their convictions were, so that's who they drafted.
This is a good lesson for us mock drafter people. Like, the information you get in January, February is often way better than what you get in March and April. And I had somebody who knows John Dorsey very well, their general manager, tell me, I think it was at the Senior Bowl, look, he's been chasing the ghost of Brett Favre for 25 years. This is the guy that he has always thought in his quarterback. Who in this class reminds you most of that guy? And I said, Baker Mayfield. He said, yeah, that's it. That's your guy. That's who they're going to take. Book it. Lock it in. I said, all right, great. That's great information, And then I got swept in the undertow of Josh Allen and Sam Darnold, and I got caught up in all these rumors, and they were being tight-lipped about the whole thing. So, yeah, to me, it's not shocking at all. Is it shocking that we went through this spin cycle of who might actually be the pick and who was the pick? Sure, but yeah, that's the guy, and it just fits exactly what Dorsey has always sort of been chasing.
Yeah, it wasn't a total shock to me, and I think if you look at what transpired at 2, the argument was, are the Giants going to turn around and draft for the future, or are they in win mode now? And obviously, by some of the moves they made in the offseason, they believe they can get at least 2 to 3 more years, at least 2, out of Eli, a healthy Beckham, Ingram, Shepard. Okay, now what do we have to do? Let's surround him with a ground game. Let's get that hog mentality, as Gettleman said, and his comments were interesting. I mean, listen, he said afterwards, when Baker goes number 1, we knew we were going to go Barkley. Now, I don't know if that's an indictment that they had, if they were looking or at least flirting with the idea of drafting a quarterback. I can't knock the pick. I can't. I thought if Mayfield went, maybe the Giants would value 2 a little more and try to work out a trade, say, with Buffalo or draft Sam Darnold. But again, you're talking about an explosive player in Barkley that is going to give this offense an added dimension that they really have never had. I mean, they haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher, I think, since Bradshaw. Tiki early on in Eli's career, but other than that, they haven't had this type of explosive player.
No, you're right. And I do want to back up quickly. You made a great point. I watched Pat Shurmur on the NFL Network, and I heard some of the other comments made by Gettleman and such. And when Dan Hellie of the NFL Network asked, hey, was Barkley your top-rated guy, or could you have, if Baker had not gone 1, and Shurmur squirmed through that answer. I mean, once it went the way it did, we were happy to get Barkley. We ran that pickup. To me, that tells me they had Baker Mayfield number 1, or at least suggests that was highly likely. So that would have been a fun thing. That's why the Browns knew they couldn't pass on Mayfield.
Thank you.
And get cute. There was no way that was going to happen.
But no one, not to cut you off, no one believes that notion. And again, people are like, they're so stupid. They go Mayfield and they go cornerback instead of going, explosive running back or Darnold at 1 and then Chubb at 4. Well, hold on a second. And I said this during the monologue. You think about those wide receivers that are in the AFC North and the type of defense they run, they need a lockdown corner. So they get the corner at 4 and they get the kid that they ultimately fell in love with at 1. So it's hard for me to sit here 3 days later on a Monday and destroy the Browns for these picks. I think it's just it's easy for people to destroy them for the direction that they went.
Absolutely. If let's say this, if the Browns passed on Mayfield at 1 and took whoever, right? Your Barkley or Chubb or whoever, or Ward or whatever, they did that. Let's say the Giants don't take it. The Jets would have taken him. So say they would not have gotten Baker at 4. They got the quarterback they wanted. It's the most important position. They handled it right. Do they wish they would have been able to get Denzel Ward a few picks lower? Yeah, they tried. It didn't work out. So you get the guy you want. That's who they wanted. They feel good about Emmanuel Ogbah and all those other rushers they have. They're not they're not desperate for a pass rush. They had to get it the way they did. And so I think they handled it well. And then back to your Barkley question, you're right. I mean, we might debate 3-4 years from now whether that was the right decision.
Yep.
But the good thing is they got explosives. The whole field is in play now.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Again, a couple minutes on a Monday. Eric Edholm does a great job covering the NFL, Pro Football Weekly. Great follow on Twitter as well. Join us on the Boardwalk Con Hotline. Rich Quinones here. All right, when you look at how everything else played out, do you think, and again, conspiracy theorists, right? Do you think this whole issue with Josh Allen was leaked by the Buffalo Bills in hopes that he would slide and they would turn around and grab him at 7? Or is it just...
I thought you were going to say, was it leaked by, one of the other quarterbacks' agents? Because that was the other rumor, was that, okay, one of these agencies is, hoping to get their guy to go a little higher. You can kind of, you could figure out who people thought it might have been.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Right. You never know, right? If that was the case, I think their timing was poor. They probably should have done it on, like, Wednesday instead of Monday, right? But I'm going to say no, because I don't know, I could be wrong, but the people who leaked it first on Twitter, and then I think Yahoo got it later, I don't know. I just don't think that was the case. I think people started realizing, hey, we haven't really kind of dug into these guys. Let's look at what they tweeted when they were 16, 17 years old. And there had already been so much negativity towards Josh Allen anyway that was just kind of the icing on top, I think.
Now that Baltimore and we look at what Newsom was able to do, and to me, I think it's a warning shot has been fired. Okay, Joe, we know after this year we don't have to pay you anymore, so we believe we potentially have our quarterback of the future. If not, at least anything, maybe it sparks a little fire under his fanny where you better play better this year, because if you don't, we know we're not going to RG3. We might give this kid a chance to take some reps. I mean, how do you kind of break down that scenario in Baltimore?
Yeah, just like you did. I think that's exactly right. Stylistically, they couldn't be more different, right? So if you go to one, I mean, you're going to have to kind of either build in a package, much like the Eagles did in 2009 with Michael Vick, where, either Cobb or McNabb were playing as the starter, and then you kind of brought in Vick as the change-up guy for a series or a play here and there or whatever. Could I see them doing that with Jackson? Yeah, I could. Guess who's coaching them up? Marty Mornhinweg and James Urban, the two guys who are on that staff. So absolutely could see them fold that in. Would Joe be pleased about that? No. So maybe that does inspire him. Maybe he does utilize some more playmakers, Snead and Crabtree and the tight ends they drafted, et cetera, a couple wide receivers they took as well on day 3. So I don't know how it's all going to work out, but I'm fascinated. I mean, the Ravens have been such a snooze on offense. They've been real, other than a couple of Alex Collins runs here and there, they've been so boring. And now they have this injection of life, whether it's a little bit this year or a lot next year. I guess I can't wait to see how they handle it.
You look at what's going on in Arizona as well, and a lot of people believe they needed a quarterback, irregardless. And obviously with Sam Bradford can never stay healthy. You almost get the sense whether he struggles or once he even gets nicked up, that's going to be an opportunity. Okay, hey, we got our guy. Let's throw him to the wolves. Is he, in your estimation, is Rosen the most pro-ready quarterback, and is that? Out of all these quarterbacks, it's two-pronged. Out of all these quarterbacks, who is in the best fit? Who's got the best scenario? And also, who's the most pro-ready when you look at a guy like Rosen?
Good question. I had Rosen and Mayfield as my top two guys. I kind of kept going back and forth. They're different players, right? And so I ended up stacking them very close together. I had Mayfield 4th overall, Rosen 5th. I think Rosen's could play tomorrow, absolutely. And Jim Mora, who's been obviously a little bit wishy-washy about his quarterback, said that. He said, the 5th grade, he could step in day 1. Personally, I wish Bruce Arians was coaching him. I'd love to see what he could do with him. Nothing against Steve Wilkes, but that would be fun. The headstrong quarterback, the gruff quarterback guru as head coach, that would have been cool. But yeah, Rosen absolutely is. If he sees that window there where Bradford gets hurt or isn't ready to perform, and he may not be ready for OTAs, who know, he's going to take advantage of it. I think. Now Mayfield's he's swimming upstream everything they have to deal with there. But I like Sam Darnold's situation in New York with McCown there. He could start the whole season if they need him to, and I think they'll feel pretty good about it. They can add weapons along the way.
Was it too much to do about nothing with the whole Darius Geis situation? You look at what transpired with some of the line of questioning,
Yeah.
and then there was Howie Roseman denied the report. There was an altercation, then the kid drops, and people look at him and say he's first-round talent. Obviously, he doesn't go in the first round. I mean, is that another situation? I mean, are there potential red flags there with that player?
I know more than I can say, unfortunately.
Okay,
but
fair enough.
I'm gonna say that he has immaturity issues. Everyone at LSU has said that, but the people I talked to there really liked him. Like, they liked him as a human being. They think he's a good kid. Do they think he's a little distracted by the shiny lights a little bit? Yes. And maybe that's an issue that falls into DC. I don't know. I can't predict the future. I don't think he didn't come out of LSU with the same character questions that, say, Arden Key did. That's the best way to say it. I think he's a good kid with a good heart. We know his story. His father was murdered in a restaurant. I mean, it's crazy. The fact that he's alive right now is actually an amazing thing, given what he faced as a kid. But I just think it was a weird circumstance there with some rumors about an incident. I do know something happened, but I don't necessarily think it was all his fault. I think he handled things poorly.
Well,
yeah,
let me, and I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just curious. Something,
Sure.
and if you can divulge, great. If not, I totally respect that. Something that potentially happened at the combine with a certain team, or in this case, a potential run-in with the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was an incident that he could have handled a little better. I also think the team could have handled it better. I think.
So we're talking about the Eagles, though. Okay. All right. I'll leave it at that. Okay. Okay. I got you, Eric.
I've gotten one side of information.
Fair enough.
To verify.
All right. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't get on you. So.
Of course. No, I've been doing the same thing. I've written a lot about it this weekend. Somebody tried to figure out what he was made of, and you know how the NFL people are. They push, and they push.
Well, they want that hot. They want to find the button.
And maybe they found their answer. I don't know.
We'll close with the Eagles and some of the moves they make, picking up a pretty big tight end, adding a little more depth in the cornerback position with Maddox, and then a pass rusher in Sweet in Florida State. Overall, I don't get into the whole grading thing right away, but how about some of the moves that Roseman made? And for a team that didn't have a ton of glaring weaknesses coming off a Super Bowl win, what's your take on the Eagles in the draft?
Well, they got the best unicyclist in the draft. If you ever get a chance to interview him, ask him about his unicycle history. Yeah, he was talking about that at the Senior Bowl. But that, I think, and along with he's got the ability to high point the ball, jump up, go and get it. I know they're going to use a lot of two tight end stuff. I know they let, Selleck and Burton go, obviously. So he's going to fill a role right away. They jump ahead of Dallas to get him. That's a good spot. Trading down, obviously, in round one helped, kind of recoup some assets a little bit. Sweat is fascinating because, you heard people say first round flashes, seventh round consistency. That's kind of what, health and it's all there. It's exciting. I mean, you could see him at his best and see a pretty good player. And maybe Avonte Maddox is a sleeper in this group. I mean, I didn't do a lot of work on him until later in the process, but he's a good nickel corner. He could end up being very, very valuable for this team.
Interesting. All right, my friend, listen, I know you had a busy weekend. I appreciate you making time, a couple moments on a Monday.
Good.
Keep up the good work, my friend. Go get some coffee in your system, will you? You sound like you didn't have enough energy today. No, just
Thanks, buddy.
All right, you got it. All right, Eric, take care. Eric Edholm does a really good job.